At 3:30 in the morning aboard USS Gerald R. Ford, the largest aircraft carrier ever put to sea, the main galley is already racing toward one hard target, keeping the ship fed for the next 24 hours. Inside the 2-level forward galley, a Master Chief walks in with a checklist in his hand. The ovens are already hot, the tilting skillets are coming up to temperature, giant steel cans are lined up and ready. The room feels less like a kitchen and more like a metal sauna. He looks calm, but he's checking something most people never think about. Can this crew feed thousands of sailors on time today, or will one small delay start throwing off the rhythm of the crew inside a multi-billion-dollar warship? And the part most people never see comes next. USS Gerald R. Ford is not just a warship, it is a floating city built for war, with roughly 4,500 to 5,500 people on board depending on whether the carrier is operating with a full air wing. Every day, the culinary team has to prepare breakfast, lunch, dinner, and midrots, the late-night meal for sailors working overnight. On a heavy operations day, that can mean roughly 17,000 to 18,000 meals moving through the ship. That is a full day of feeding a small city in the middle of the ocean. No backup restaurant, no delivery, no easy excuse if the line gets too long and sailors miss watch. In the middle of all that pressure is one senior enlisted leader whose job is to keep the standard from slipping. For the Master Chief, the first fight of the day is not against an enemy, it is against chaos in the galley. The moment he steps inside, not everyone working there is a trained culinary specialist. Many are regular sailors assigned as food service attendants or FSAs. On the ship, sailors often call it cranking. Some normally work in engineering, some belong in the hangar bay, some might usually be standing watch in combat systems, but this morning they are standing in front of giant pans holding spatulas that look almost bigger than their arms. They come in with tired eyes, crooked covers, and faces that say it clearly. They joined the Navy to see the world, not to scrub sheet pans in the scullery. That's where the Master Chief matters. The way he handles these sailors can decide whether food becomes a source of pride and brotherhood or just another complaint spreading through the ship before lunch. At 5 a.m., the galley shifts into a higher gear. About 60 gallons of scrambled egg mix start going into the tilting skillets. Across the room, the first pan of roughly 800 cinnamon rolls comes out of the oven, timed for the first wave of sailors before 7. At the same time, the team is working through hundreds of pounds of bacon sizzling across hot steel. When the ovens, skillets, and steam equipment are all running together, the room can push past 95 degrees Fahrenheit. Through all that heat and noise, the Master Chief keeps checking his watch. Eggs that come out 10 minutes too early turn dry. Eggs that come out 10 minutes too late hold up the line. On a carrier, bad timing in the galley can change the mood of an entire deck fast. What makes this operation hard isn't just the number of meals, it's the way the whole system has to run. The Ford class has 4 2-level galleys spread through different parts of the ship. While some are serving, others are cleaning, resetting, and prepping for the next meal. The work never really stops, it just changes shape. The ship has dozens of industrial ovens that can bake more than 1,200 portions of bread, rolls, or cake in a single run. It also has heavy-duty mixers that can handle huge batches of batter in minutes, even while the carrier is rolling through rough seas. Each serving line is built for speed. The goal is to move about 12 sailors per minute while keeping hot food at safe serving temperatures, usually around 140 degrees Fahrenheit. The daily food load is hard to picture until you break it down. On a busy day, a carrier like this can burn through around 1,600 pounds of meat, about 160 gallons of milk, 30 cases of cereal, and roughly 350 pounds of lettuce. That's just to feed a crew that spends their day climbing ladders, working around heat, moving equipment, standing watch, and staying alert.
Then there's coffee. On an aircraft carrier, coffee is not a side item, it is survival gear. Sailors carry it into engineering spaces, bring it near the flight deck, and drink it before a watch when their body is begging for sleep. The Navy also plans around calories because food ties directly to performance. A sailor does not just need to feel full, they need energy, protein, fluids, and focus. At sea, hunger is not just uncomfortable, it can affect the work. By 6 a.m., the mess decks start filling up. Sailors come from every direction. Some just came down from the flight deck, some just finished night watch in the engine room, some only want coffee and bread before they finally crawl into a rack. The serving line turns into a human refueling lane. Every FSA has a rhythm: scoop, tray, slide, repeat. Keep it moving. Do not overthink it. Do not hold up the next person. One hesitation, one dropped tray, or one empty pan with no replacement ready, and the line can stretch past a bulkhead. That is not just annoying, it can start affecting people who have to get back to their stations. Behind the mess decks is the place almost everybody learns to respect the hard way, the scullery. This is where trays, plates, cups, and silverware come back in huge waves. After breakfast, the stack can feel endless. Wet trays, grease, food scraps, steam, noise. The FSA team forms a human chain to keep the dishwashing system fed and the next meal ready. One of the least loved jobs is the roving wiper. That sailor walks the mess deck over and over, wiping up spilled drinks, crumbs, and food before someone slips on the steel deck. On land, a small spill is just a mess. On a carrier moving through rough water, a small spill can put a sailor on their back. When everyone is tired, that is often when the Master Chief shows up again. He does not need to yell. Sometimes he just points at a wet spot on the floor or asks why the line is slowing down. The message is simple: even the small jobs count. While enlisted sailors move through the mess decks with compartment trays, another world is running elsewhere on the ship. In the officers' wardroom, culinary specialists in clean uniforms serve more than 200 officers with table service, real plates, and silverware. The food may be similar, but the setting feels completely different. They are on the same ship, under the same pressure, but the responsibilities are not the same. The way people eat reflects that structure. Then there's the chief's mess. The chief's mess is not just a dining space, it's its own world. It's where chiefs eat, talk, correct problems, mentor junior sailors, and sometimes solve issues before they ever reach a formal meeting. Coffee inside the chief's mess is almost a religion. There's a running joke that the ship could lose power to something important and people might stay calm, but if the chief's coffee machine dies, that's the real emergency. When supplies get tight, food also exposes hierarchy in a way everybody understands. The captain's mess is usually the last to see substitutions, then the wardroom, then the chief's. The enlisted mess decks are usually where shortages are felt first. That's why something as small as replacing fresh vegetables with canned ones can change how sailors read fairness on board. Food is never just food when everyone is tired and far from home. All of this only works if the storage system behind the galley stays sharp. Ford has cold storage for frozen provisions, including spaces kept around -10 degrees Fahrenheit. Backup cooling systems help protect the food if something goes wrong elsewhere on the ship. Dairy gets kept in its own cold space, produce has its own temperature and humidity needs. Milk has to stay safe, vegetables need to last long enough to be used. Dry goods have to stay dry in a ship that's constantly moving through salt air and humidity. The ship can carry more than 1,000 different food items across storage areas throughout the carrier. Every item has to be tracked. Every meal pulls from that inventory. One bad count can show up days later as a missing ingredient in a last-minute menu change. But even the best stockroom eventually needs help from outside. Every 7 to 10 days or so, a logistics ship can come alongside the carrier at sea. Through lines, cranes, pallets, and sometimes helicopters, it transfers massive amounts of supplies while both ships keep moving. Sometimes the weather is rough, the wind is up, the deck is wet, the ships are rolling, but the food still has to come across because if the supply chain slows down, the meal schedule starts to feel it. For the crew, replenishment is more than logistics. It means the menu can keep going, the ship's store can restock, favorite snacks might come back, packages and mail from home might arrive with the cargo. Somewhere below deck, the Master Chief and his team are looking at the numbers again. How much do we have? How fast are we burning through it? What has to be used now? What has to last? The question is simple. Keeping the answer right for months at sea is not. For many young sailors, cranking feels like punishment at first. It is dirty, physical work. It starts early, ends late, and rarely looks cool. But it teaches something fast. A 19-year-old from engineering might spend hours lifting wet trees, sleep a few hours, then go back to a normal shift after weeks of galley duty with a new respect for the people who feed the ship. That is why sailors will tell you brotherhood on a carrier is not always built in dramatic moments. Sometimes it's built in the steam of the galley, in the noise of the scullery, and in the tired laugh after somebody spills coffee at the worst possible time. When night comes, Ford still does not sleep. Roughly a third of the crew may be working the opposite schedule. While others are in their rocks, they are watching radar, monitoring machinery, standing security, keeping aircraft moving, and waiting for mid-rots. Mid-rots is often the most honest meal on the ship.
You'll see strange trays, leftover pasta, eggs, dessert, maybe a piece of bread, all sitting next to coffee so dark it looks like motor oil. Nobody is trying to make it pretty, they just need something warm before the next stretch of work. The night crew in the galley is smaller, but the standard does not drop. Food still has to be safe, the line still has to move, cleaning still has to happen. The ship does not care that it's midnight. While mid-rots is running, other galleys start preparing for the next cycle. Some spaces shut down for deep cleaning, the kind that reaches into floor gaps, corners, and around equipment where grime would otherwise build up. At that hour, a night galley can become more than a kitchen. It turns into a place where sailors talk a little longer than usual. Home comes up, family comes up. So do the worries they've been carrying all day. If you've ever missed home after working late, stretch that feeling across weeks at sea. No quick drive home, no normal dinner table. Sometimes the closest thing to home is a hot meal coming off the line. Outside of the official meal system, there's another small world every sailor understands as soon as the announcement hits the 1MC, the ship-wide speaker system. The ship store. It is part convenience store, part snack bar, and part unofficial morale center. It carries snacks, instant noodles, energy drinks, cigarettes, toiletries, and the little things that start to feel valuable after months at sea. After replenishment, when the ship store opens, the line can form in minutes. Sailors show up looking for energy drinks, chocolate, hot sauce, or whatever disappears fastest. Vending machines also matter more than they should. They sit in key passageways, sometimes near combat spaces, and they become tiny escape valves during long days. Forward carries dozens of vending machines built for life at sea, with reinforced parts and secure mounts so they can stay in place when the ship rolls. A cold drink or a snack might sound small, but on deployment, small things carry weight. Between the ship store and the vending machines, thousands of small purchases can happen in a single day. The rush often hits right after meal service starts, when sailors see the menu and decide they need a backup plan. That is how one bottle of hot sauce can become a real commodity among the crew. Under all the funny parts, one question stays in the back of the Master Chief's mind. What happens if the galley fails? Not just a bad meal, not just cold food, a real failure. A long line can push sailors late to watch. A broken oven can force the team to change the menu with dinner only hours away. A delayed cleaning cycle can affect the next meal. A shortage can spread through the ship faster than anyone wants. There is no option to close for the night. This is not a restaurant. It is a nuclear-powered warship moving through the open ocean, far from outside repair crews, far from spare parts sitting on a shelf, and far from anyone who can come fix the problem in an hour. Weather can make everything harder. When the sea gets rough, the deck moves under your feet. Pans slide, hot oil shifts. People learn to brace themselves while still cooking thousands of meals with controlled movements. They time their steps with the motion of the ship. They hold pans at awkward angles. They work around heat, noise, steel, and motion while still keeping safety standards tight. At a restaurant, you can shut down for maintenance. On a carrier, the ship keeps going. One gasket, one oven, one clogged drain, one broken machine. The crew still has to find a way through it. That is why food on a carrier becomes bigger than hunger. For a sailor, opening a tray and seeing warm bread, properly cooked meat, or a small dessert in the corner can mean more than the menu says. It means somebody thought about them, somebody kept the system moving, somebody cared enough to make a hard day feel a little more normal. On Thanksgiving, the culinary team can cook hundreds of turkeys and all the traditional sides for sailors who are nowhere near their families. It doesn't replace home. It can't. But for 20 minutes on the mess deck, it gives them a piece of it. If you are proud of the culinary specialists and the sailors who keep this system running for the whole crew, type proud in the comments. Their work doesn't usually show up on a medal, but it keeps the ship moving. The Master Chief we have followed since 3:30 understands that. He's not just checking whether the bacon is cooked evenly. He's watching the line. He's watching the FSAs. He's watching how the youngest sailor in the galley gets treated when everybody is tired. He doesn't sit in the chief's mess just to eat quietly. He listens to complaints, jokes, and real stories from the people who keep one of the largest kitchens at sea moving. That is why his influence reaches far beyond the galley. He may not be the captain. He may not sit in the command chair on the bridge, but the culture he protects can be felt all the way down to the lowest deck.
By around 6 p.m., the carrier shifts toward night. Some galleys close for deep cleaning, others move toward mid-rats. Above them, the flight deck still glows under green and yellow lights, with aircraft silhouettes cutting through the dark. Below that, inside a tight, hot galley, someone is still stirring a giant pot. Someone else is plating simple food that is still warm. In the corner, a sailor laughs for a second after eating, then heads back to his station. The carrier runs on nuclear reactors, but the people inside it run on food, discipline, and the standard that the Master Chief and his team protect minute by minute. A few days later, it starts all over again. The sun rises over the horizon. Orange light hits the ocean. On the flight deck, the first jet starts moving toward launch position. Below it, through narrow passageways lined with pipes and cables, the Master Chief walks back toward the galley. Fresh coffee is already in the air. Mixers and ovens slowly wake the ship for another cycle. Out of hundreds of decisions made every day on this carrier, one tradition cannot be skipped. Feed the people who keep the ship alive, and do it with dignity, respect, and loyalty to the brotherhood they build far from home.